I'm happy to be here. Let me get the chat turned on to see if that's working today. Let's see, where's the chat? Hello, hello from Pennsylvania, Kissimmee. Let's see. Hi, Liz in Pennsylvania. We're having a good day, but I think there's weather coming through, but not weather like Florida's having right now. Let's see. Annette. I'm not sure. I know exactly where Kissimmee is, but I don't think anyone knows what Adelia is doing yet. I have a friend waiting in Tampa. I have another friend who got stranded in Tampa when the airport closed. She was on vacation, so she's driving. So I stay safe. Pretty gross weather. Yes, yes. Wishing well for people in the path of the storm, like Annette. And hello in PEI, Sandal. It's good to see you. I was just writing notes about what to tell you today. I have some pictures, just in time. You didn't get your newsletter yet because I'm a little behind still. So what have I been doing? I've been recovering from a back issue, which is coming along. I'm doing an occasional flight of stairs. I did laundry. We're considering that physical therapy, moving my back around, folding 3 loads of laundry. But it's coming along. And that is important to tell you because the quilt I just quilted happened because of a back injury, which is weird. And I'll explain when I get there. So let's see. I've been trying to cook up all of the produce that I'm getting from the farm. So we're drowning in eggplant and zucchini right now. Not zucchini, eggplant and kale. So last night we had kale and feta fritters. I'll be making. I have several ways that I will eat kale. I actually have a list of it in my planner so that I remember what to make. So the kale and feta fritters. Sopa de fuba is a Brazilian soup that is cornmeal, sausage, and kale and eggs. It's really good though. Zuppa Toscana, which is what you get at Olive Garden if you go there. Beef, kale, and rice pie. Made that a couple days ago. Very good. Stampet, which is a boerenkool stampet, which is a Dutch dish from the Netherlands. Mashed potatoes. When you boil your kale in with your mashed potatoes, and then you cover it with sausage and gravy, and then kale, ham, and couscous. So some really good fun things. But I only eat eggplant 3 ways, and I've already made 2 of them at least 3 times. So I eat eggplant in moussaka, which I like making and I like eating, and I like eggplant done, breaded. I bake it instead of frying it and then make it into a casserole or a Parmesan type of thing. And then there's another way to make it so it tastes like eel, like unagi. If you go to Walks of Life, it's an online walks, like the Chinese cooking pot, Walks of Life. They have a recipe and that's good. So that's what I'm eating a lot of, those 8 meals in rotation until I get down on the eggplant and kale routine. Now I'm looking at, we had a failure of our peach crop locally because we had warm weather early and then a frost. But for the failure of the peach crop, we got a lot of peaches. So I'm thinking of making fruit leathers with the apples and peaches just because I like chewy candy. And this way it'll be fruit instead of candy. So cooking. Let's see. Hello in Brockville, Ontario. St. Lawrence River north of Ogdensburg. Are you near St. Catharines? Because that sounds familiar. And let's see. Annette will get some gusty winds and rain and you're not in the path. Oh, good. That's good. We don't like people. Oh, excuse me. Somebody could clip that. We don't like people. No, we don't like people. We don't like people being in bad weather. So I'm glad you're out of the worst of it. Just probably not going to be outside playing around today. You're between Montreal and my guess is Toronto would be the next thing you would say. So cooking. Talked about the cooking. I also Montreal and Toronto. So St. Catharines is over north of Buffalo, I think. because I taught at Quilt Canada there when I was there. So the class that will be going up, the new color blocks free quilting this week is, let me find it, is my floating star. This is the last quilt from 2021 that didn't get done because, as my health goes, things get behind. So I was behind on this. But I finished it, and it took me 2 weeks to quilt this quilt because I've been living in my wheelie chair, which is just my desk chair that I'm sitting in right now, my sewing chair. Because my back injury is very low. I have a lot of disc problems and such, right above my tailbone. So this one, for the first time, took out my left leg. Like, I would walk on my right foot, and then I'd walk on my left foot and face plant because I had a noodle for a leg. So that's recovering, but I couldn't walk. So I was wheeling around, and I was just sitting, and I'm like, well, let me just sit and quilt because I can sit and I can move. This works. It's just the legs aren't working. I have a birth defect and a disease that are working against me right now. So my back, I have a birth defect in my back that my disease is attacking. So weird things are happening. Totally expected, but still not fun. Anyway, wheeling around quilting, and let me show you what I just took a picture of today because I finished it last night. There we go. This is the floating star. This is December 2021's quilt in color blocks. So you have to go back to color blocks 2021, color blocks version volume 1. I'm going to be closing that class. If you have not joined that free class, join that free class now. Because once the class is finished, this being the last quilt, the class will now cost money. If you are already in it for free, it's yours free forever. So please join that class because in the next week or so, it will be going away for free. The machine quilting will be in there. I haven't edited the video yet. I just wanted to get the picture because we're getting some rain. I had to do it before the weather hit. And let's see if I can get some other close-ups here. Oh, nope. So yeah, that was an in-process shot. So that was the color that the background is, and I quilted it in gray to change the color because I really wanted to show those rays coming off of it. It all comes out from the center. So let me stop sharing. The cornerstones look like little stars with that quilting. I agree. I'm really happy with how it came out. It took nearly a cone of thread. My bucket of thread that I've used is this cone of thread. This was another machine quilting thread and another machine quilting thread, and I'm almost done with a piecing spool. So yeah, I have way too much fun figuring out how much thread I use. But it was really worth it. I enjoyed it. Hello in Central Texas. I'm glad you're here. I don't think there's a hurricane coming your way this week, but I'm thinking you're probably hot. So stay inside with the air conditioning and quilt. I do not have central air in my house. I mean, I do, but it's as old as I am, and it doesn't work like I do. I don't work either. My air conditioning doesn't work. So I have a single unit air conditioner in my sewing room, and I'm fine in here. Air conditioner's not on. It's 80 degrees today. And I live in the mountains. So we get less sun, more wind. We're a couple degrees cooler than in town. So it's pretty nice here. But when I'm quilting, I have the air conditioner on because I have a quilt on my lap. And also middle-aged, overweight, and on steroids. So my face turns bright red and I get really hot. So yeah, I use the air conditioner in here because that's where I need it. Let's see. In Central Texas, you don't have a hurricane, but you do have the AC on. I would think so. Like, you not having AC is like me not having a furnace because it gets cold here. And you just pulled up to the Bernina, ready to stitch. Yay. Let's see. Hello in New Jersey. Hi, Jersey. Good to see you. So let me show you another picture of that quilt. Give you some close-ups. And then I'll share it with you. So here's a close-up of the quilting. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow and tomorrow night at 7 o'clock New York time in Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio or on YouTube. This is a 1-inch square. Those gray cornerstones, that's a 1-inch square. And I did that to show you the size of the pebbles. So this is a 2-inch square. This is a 1-inch square. So these circles, the swirls go anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, 2.5 inches. And the pebbles are up to a 1/2 inch or even larger. So they're not that small. And also they're not that accurate. So I know people get nervous um, about their tracings. My tracings aren't that great, but when you look at the quilt, it looks great. So I don't want to say lower your expectations, but lower your stress level because perfect is completely overrated. So that was really fun to just sit and quilt and sit and quilt and sit and quilt. I can't tell you how many bobbins I went through, but that was good because quilting is the best medicine. And again, not complaining about my life. My life, injured and ill, is, because I'm semi-disabled. My life disabled is better than most people's healthy because I'm a princess. My life is perfect. I have no problems. But when the back first went, I was gritting my teeth in pain, trying to get through 9.5 level pain. It was bad. And it kept me busy. I would put a book on and it kept me busy. It gave me something to do with my hands, something to do with my brain. So I wasn't focused. It's kind of like Lamaze, where you're not focused on the pain, you're focused elsewhere. That's what that quilt did for me. So it was a wonderful thing. And then as I wasn't moving, it was also great to sit and do it. So let's see. Annette, love the quilting. Thank you. I do too. Halfway through, I'm like, why did I do this? I'm ruining this quilt. What did I do? Yes, crippling self-doubt still happens. But I'm real happy with how it turned out. Now, I will mention, if this was a show quilt, I would have paid more attention to tracings. I would have used a lighter weight thread. I would have done things different. This is not a show quilt. This was a quilt meant to be used. So it's not perfect. What my goal was not perfection. My goal was to enjoy the process of quilting it and then have a quilt that can be used. Now, all of my quilts, all of my color block quilts, I'm keeping because I don't know, there may be a book coming out or something like that. But mostly I give my quilts away. So I don't strive for perfection unless it's going to be, magazine cover photographed or a quilt show type of thing. Not perfect, wasn't even my goal, but I really enjoyed quilting it. So let's see my map. Hello from Bethel Island, California. So I'm guessing you're on the coast of California. Because the island part. My grandkids just got back from there. I can't wait to hear how their trip was. Not Bethel Island, but California. But hello out there. So I was thinking about the quilt I just finished, and I do not label my quilts. I know. I'm a bad quilter. I get it. I'm a horrible quilter. But I don't label my quilts unless I have to, as in for entering a show, like for a teacher exhibit, that sort of thing. Or, for magazines, if I have to pin some stuff on it. But if I did label the quilt, I would label it, "This quilt took forever," or "Made with love," and some curse words. Have you heard of any of those funny labels? Like, have you ever labeled, "I'm never making this again" type of labels? That sort of thing. The only problems I had making that quilt, like, I had no tension problems. A couple of times I show you when I have, oops, turned the quilt over and that went wrong. Didn't have any tension problems with that, but it was a lot of knots making all of those diagonal lines because I was breaking them around the color blocks. So there was a lot of knots, and my garbage can has a ball of thread in it about that big of all these gray threads, which is kind of fun to look at. So it was a lot of knots. If I did it again, I might not have done the gray threads in this. I might not have done the diagonal lines through the sashing. I may have just pebbled them and let it go. But that was the biggest pain I had, was making all the knots. But it won't be labeled unless I absolutely have to. So let's see. I talked about my back, talked about floating star. I talked about making sure you join Color Blocks 2021 while it's free, because that is at least 12 patterns and at least 12 machine quilting videos. Now, this isn't in there yet because it's still in my camera. I haven't edited it. Eh, I haven't finished editing it yet. But I will send your newsletter when it's done. So once you get your newsletter, you'll know that it's up and in the class. And the link direct to the class will be there. If you do not get my newsletter, go to debbiebrownquilts.com, scroll down, and subscribe. I only send you a newsletter once a week. This week you might get 2. We'll see how things go, because I have more things coming. So Friday is the first of the month, and that means there's a new color blocks pattern. Now, I could put that out till next week. However, in the United States, it's Labor Day, end of summer holiday. Monday is off, so it's a 3-day weekend. And I know a lot of people go away, but I also know a lot of people stay home and quilt. So I wanted to put out the new color block pattern. It's another animal, and it's pink. No one has yet guessed what it is. It's a pig. So that will be out, and it'll be live by Friday. That's coming. And then on Friday, the first of the month, I also have another YouTube video coming up for a cutie quilt and how to quilt it. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. This is the fabric I'm using. Is that gorgeous? I will have kits. It's seasonal. It's apple season. So it's one of my cutie patterns. And for people who don't know cutie patterns, they are designed with 16 fat eighths and then other fabric, like backgrounds, borders, something like that. So I put together an apple quilt because it's apple season, and I live 3 miles from a 100-year-old orchard, a mature apple orchard, which is where I get all my food. It's my organic farm orchard. I'm sorry, I live 2 miles from there. I could ride my bike there. Not right now, but other times. So we get a lot of apples, like a lot of apples, and I wanted an apple quilt. And I'm having a lot of fun quilting it. I started quilting the border last night, and I didn't like what I did, so I am picking it out, and I came up with a better border. I'm really excited about that. So that will premiere on Friday, and it'll be in your newsletter. So I might send out a newsletter just with this week, just with Floating Star, and then send out another newsletter with It's September, here are your new videos. Or that may be joined into one. Otherwise, anyway, that's what's going on. So that's coming, and those are your teases. You got the color blocks on Friday. Your newsletter is late. And the reason, like, I took Sunday off because I designed 2 new quilts, and I actually pieced one of them on Sunday. And so these are coming. But, whenever you get an idea, sometimes you just have to go with it. So I was a little behind, but it was really fun coming up with a new quilt and piecing it. I time my work because I time my work. This is a business. It's what I do. I took 2 hours and 15 minutes to cut the fabric and piece the top. Do you like those numbers? I showed it to my husband, and I said, "Oh, quick and easy, just a little over 2 hours." And he's like, "Oh, quilters really like those." Do you like quilts that are like pretty fabric, big pieces, looks great, looks great, but is still easy to piece? Or do you like doing more intricate piecing? You can let me know. I think there's a place for all types of quilting, because the 2 quilts I designed, one is based on 1-inch pieces of fabric, 1.5 inch, and the other one is huge, like big blocks type of thing. They couldn't be more different, and both of them make me very happy. I made my quilt out of all scraps, so it's like brown. Like whenever I test a pattern, I just pull out. I have a drawer full of fat eights, and I just pull out 16 fat eights, big pieces. Yeah, I was making this quilt out of browns because I had 16 of them. Just these go together, and I'll give the quilt away. It's 68 inches square, and I'm not sure what is going to happen with it, but we'll talk. And as I'm making this, I'm thinking this would look great in Tula fabric. Any Tula fans, where those big prints and it's just gorgeous. I also have some Australian fabric that I think would look really good in here. It's I can't come up with her name. Material Obsession is the name of her quilt shop, and I've lost her name. I'm picturing her face. She's from Ohio. She lives in Australia, has a business over there, Australian kids, the whole bit. Just can't come up with her name. Anyway, I paid Australian shipping getting her fabric line to my house. And I think if, as this pattern goes, I might have to make it in that because these are big prints and they're gorgeous and I didn't know what to do with them. So this could be published as an independent pattern. I'll let you know about that when it comes out. And if it's not, I have a class that I can build around it. So it'll come into a machine quilting class. So it'll be out one way or the other in the next couple months. But yeah, I always work ahead. And sometimes when the vision strikes, you just got to jump in and do it. I think that and the other pattern is the basis of another class. And I'm thinking of putting together a class on ribbon candy quilting. Now, how I develop my classes, since my health has been uncertain, like, oh, I'm taking this week off, or I'm taking 5 months off with COVID. Kathy Dowdy, thank you. God bless you for looking that up for me. Oh, my word. I've driven her around. I know her husband. Yeah, thank you. It was just one of those, what's your name moments. Love Kathy Dowdy. She is so much fun. She's as darling in person as you think she is. And her fabric is just really, really happy. I have her books and I'm a fan. So yeah, I think I'll pull up my Kathy Dowdy fabric for this one. The way I do my classes earlier is I would do them and bring out one lesson a week. We do it together and then the class goes out. Since my health has dipped a bit and I'm not as stable for the doing every week, I'm putting the classes out lesson by lesson in my subscription. So I can work on 5 classes at once, but as each lesson is written, it will be published in my As the Bobbin Turns subscription so that the subscribers can give me feedback on it from there. Please do, by the way, please do give me feedback. Right now, I'm about to put up lesson 2 of the spiral quilting. That's fun because that'll be a 10 lesson class. I have a lot of the tops pieced for that one. It's going to be fun. And when all 10 are done, then I'll announce it. I'm thinking of doing a 10-part ribbon candy class, and then a couple others. So if you're in the subscription, you'll get to see them as they go, and get early access to everything. And then for everyone else who's not in the subscription, you'll get it when it comes out as a class, and I'll announce it then. It made it easier that it gives me a deadline to put something in the subscriber class, but not I have to be healthy 10 weeks in a row to make sure this class goes. I've just had to change the way I do my work, which works. I was talking with a bunch of professionals who are like, oh, I lose my creativity. And when you work in the industry, and I'm like, I work in the industry and I love it because I've taken all the stress out of it. You guys are great and patient and work around my limitations. And I love everything that I do. So, very happy quilter. I don't love cutting off my finger, but this was a rotary cutter incident. It's almost healed, but it's at that dry, cracking open and bleeding stage. And it's still really sensitive. So I have some knitting I want to do, and this is my knitting finger. And if a knitting needle goes in where I cut off the side of my finger with a rotary cutter, I will see stars. So I'm protecting it, but it's almost better. This part, don't like. Other than that, quilting is lovely. Tomorrow night, we are going to have in YouTube and on Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio Facebook group talk about create your own edge to edge, and we'll talk more about the quilting of the floating star. So save up your machine quilting questions, bring them tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. You can post them in the group at any time. I do see them and answer them. And hopefully you'll have your newsletter out by tomorrow. I have a few things I have to finish, like editing, writing the class, little stuff, minor details. So yes, I'm on a lot of steroids still for my back and talking fast. Sorry about that. But I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are and whatever you're doing, not on a lot of steroids. I hope quilting is bringing you some great joy, or the seasonal gardening or cooking or whatever it is that makes you happy. Take time to do that. I got a Facebook memory today of when my husband and I were down in Moab in Utah. We were in Arches National National Park. And the picture looked great of my husband and I. And what most people don't know is I was probably as sick as I've ever been in that picture. And if I hadn't been paying however much it costs to stay in Moab, I would have stayed in bed and not done anything because I was really, really sick then. I went to a couple. I did a little bit of walking, but a lot of times I just sat in the air-conditioned car while my husband did some hiking, which was fine because we're like, we're here, we'll do what we can. And I don't regret it. I never regret doing things that I can, and I never regret not putting things off. So I took Sunday off and made a quilt that was in my head that I wanted to make. Made me really happy. So take advantage of all the opportunities because you don't know. And I haven't made it back to Moab in 9 years. So happy quilting, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow night, and look forward to a newsletter sometime probably between now and then. Take care, and I'll see you again tomorrow.